Hey everyone, I am creating this screencast to go over how to create your Flipgrid um, video post. So the three goals of this video is one, so I'm going to discuss just very briefly the purpose of the reading application and discussion, or RAD, Flipgrid posts. Two, show you how to create your video. And three, share a few ideas for how to organize your ideas before you create your video. So the very first one, discuss the purpose. So let me go over here. So I'm about to make this available to you all on Canvas as part of the weekly module for this week. So since this is the very first week that we're doing this, then there's just some extra steps in terms of reading over this whole top part here. This whole part right here is providing information about the objectives. So what is the purpose? Why are we doing these things every week? The most important, right, is so that you can deepen your understanding of what you are learning, whether it be in Henslein's book or in a documentary film or like in the article, Embracing Sociology from this week. If you are required to read or consume that information, but then to reflect on it and then engage in discussion, you're deepening your understanding by going through that process. And another piece of that is before you can engage in a discussion, or excuse me, you're going to find that you're going to read the information or consume the information in a more active way versus like passively just watching the documentary versus actively watching it in a way where you're note taking and kind of collecting some information that you're going to want to later on engage with other students in a discussion around. So read over all of these objectives. I'm not going to go over these one by one, but here are kind of the objectives for why we're doing these posts, some general guidelines that lay out when they're due. You can't make these up. So if you miss one, then they're only worth 5 points. So if you miss one, it's not the end of the world. But you definitely want to make sure that you're doing these every week. But here's kind of like some general guidelines for what we're going to do every week. And then some etiquette and some rules. And so read over this. And the only thing that I'm going to say about this is just to really be kind to one another. And for some students, it's going to be pretty nerve-wracking to not only have to be in a position to share their understanding of something and demonstrate how they can take this information and apply it to either like their service learning experience or to their own lived experience. And also to take one piece of information, the article Embracing Social Activism, and then apply some of that to the film, A Place at the Table. That can be kind of nerve-wracking for some folks. And then on top of that, you are creating a video and then sharing it in video format with other people. So I really, really, truly ask that you are kind and considerate and support one another through this process. Having said that, I think that it's worth the getting out of your comfort zone and taking this leap to engage in our, engage in our discussions in this format as opposed to just in written format. Because I think it's going to be more engaging, and I think the learning is going to be even better if we do it this way. So let's give it a go and see how we all like it, and I'll be able to get some feedback from you all. I told you before in previous semesters I did this in all written format, and for students they felt that it was very, very time consuming. And it is time consuming because I'm asking you to take additional steps rather than just consume information, but to reflect on it and engage with other people in the content. So if we do it in video format, hopefully it will be a little bit more efficient. So the whole top part is kind of outlining the different kind of like the objectives and the purpose and the guidelines for the Flipgrid posts. The bottom section is what I will post every week from this week forward. The bottom section has the actual guidelines for this specific post this week. So one thing is you're already watching this video, right? So to complete this week's post, you're going to watch this video. You're going to jot down, right, your notes as you were reading Dale and Caleb's article and as you were watching the documentary. Everybody has different note-taking strategies. And so I'm going to share with you some of the different ways that I collect information so that I can reflect on it and prepare myself to engage in a discussion. But you have to definitely kind of jot down some ideas before you create your video. And then after you do those two things, then you're going to click on this link right here, and this is going to open Flipgrid. And I guess I'll go ahead and open that now. So you're going to get redirected to this page. When you get redirected to the Flipgrid site, you will use your Fresno State email address to create your account and access our, actually, I don't even think you have to create an account. You're just going to use your Fresno State email address to be able to access our classroom Flipgrid account. And so here are the instructions, right, for completing this very first post. After you have all your ideas together and you are ready to create your video, then this is what you're going to do. So here's my video. You guys can take a look at it just to kind of get an idea and see how I approached the assignment. But when you're ready to create your own, you're going to click on this plus button right here. And then this window is going to pop up and then here is the video. So to create your video, you're going to click on this, I have to sneeze, excuse me. You're going to click on this icon right here. And it's going to start recording. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click on it and I'm going to take you through all of the steps. Excuse me. Okay. So now my video is recording. This week, I set the timer for 5 minutes. So you can see in the upper right-hand corner right here, a countdown. And then this little icon right here is also showing you how much time you have left as well. So it actually, 5 minutes might seem like a long time, but actually some of you might find it pretty challenging. I know I did, to cover all of the information that I wanted to cover. Explaining some of the kind of essential elements of humanist sociology and then applying it to a couple of things in a place at the table. So you don't have to talk for the whole 5 minutes, but I just have allowed for 5 minutes this week, just as we're all trying to get used to doing the Flipgrid. So after you're done with your video, you're going to click on this blue arrow right here so that you can proceed to the next step. And your video is going to start playing. So that way you can hear your video. You might even just make a quick test video just to make sure that your audio and everything is working before you create your whole 5-minute video. You can play it back. Make sure that it's what that you want to keep it. If you don't, then just click on this little trash can right here and you can delete it and then you can just start over again. But if it's the one that you want, then you're going to click on this blue arrow right here. You're going to allow Flipgrid to be able to use the camera. So that way you can take a photo. And so this photo is going to be the image for your Flipgrid post. so students can see you. And then put your first and last name here for the display name. And then for the title, put just a little description. So for me, I did humanist sociology was the one that I talked about. And this is helpful because students might want to see what other students who talked about the same topic as them had to say about it, so that they can learn, more or get a different perspective. Or if somebody else picked a different approach, they might want to find, let's say, somebody who talked about academic sociology or critical sociology or any of the other approaches that are outlined in that article. So after you give it a short title, then you're going to click submit video and you're going to get this cool congratulations message. And then you're going to click complete, and that's it. So that's everything that you need to do for your original post. And this week, we're only doing an original post. You can respond to other students, but this week it's not required. In future weeks, you will respond to other students' posts, but for this week, you're just going to create your own original post. I do want to walk you through, though, how to respond to someone. So after you create your post, you can click on someone else's and it'll just pop up and it'll start playing. You can actually watch as many videos as you want, but you're only required in future weeks, you're only required to respond to 2 students. Or you're required to post 2 response videos. You can respond to 2 separate students, or you can respond to 1 student twice. So maybe you watch someone's video, you engage with them by giving, some feedback and some information, and then maybe you have some questions, and then that student can re-engage with you, and you can respond 2 times to that same student. In order to respond, you're going to click on this little chat this little chat icon. And so after you watch the video, you click on this, and then you're going to go through essentially the same steps. So the video is going to pop up, and boom, there you go. So you just click on record again, and now you are recording your response video to your first student. And then I'm not going to go through all those steps, though. So let me close out of that. And that's it. So that is basically how you do your Flipgrid video, your original one, as well as your response video. So let's go back here. Our 3 goals. Discuss the purpose of the RAD Flipgrid posts. We already did that. Show how you create your RAD video. We already just did that. And so the third thing that I want to talk about or go over, and let me actually close this, is to give you some ideas for how you can organize your ideas, right? Organize, note take, or collect your ideas before you create your video. So this week we had 2 pieces of information. And I don't know why. We had the Place at the Table documentary, and then there was one reading Dale and Caleb's article, Embracing Social Activism. And so when I read, then again, this is just me sharing with you my approach, and you definitely don't have to do it this way, but the point is that you want to have some method for taking notes and kind of organizing information and kind of laying out or mapping out your ideas before you create your video. So for me, I have just kind of like a color coding system. And so I use different colors to highlight essential information that I want to take out of this particular article, right? So here, boom, you see there's a lot of information. So I don't take, let me go over here and show you. So when I take notes, so here is what I do with that information. I don't take everything that I highlight in the article and transfer that over to my notes page. So I just open up a Google file or a Google document, and I transfer over some of the essential information that I highlighted and transfer it onto this document. So now I never have to go back into the actual article. I have all of my information and kind of ideas that I wanted to take from that article right here in my, right here it says, right, notes from embracing social activism. And so this is just one way that you can highlight and note take to prepare for your RAD video. And then another way, right? Oh, excuse me. So here's just some of the notes that I jotted down as I was watching the documentary, A Place at the Table. Here's just some of the notes that I took down as I was watching that. So this is one method. Another method, let me see, is this, right? I created, this is like a visual diagram that shows sociology on this continuum that Dale and Caleb laid out in their article. So up here in this box in the upper left-hand corner, I thought it was helpful to jot down what is the purpose of the article. What were some of the main arguments that Dale and Caleb presented in that article? So one thing is, right, they're rejecting this monolithic view of what sociology is and how sociologists should engage in their work as sociologists. They reject that notion. And they say that it can and should accommodate multiple perspectives. And so they lay out, looking at like the history of sociology in the United States in particular, they lay out the different perspectives that various people have taken as they have approached engaging as sociologists. So on one end of the continuum, you have academic sociology, and then all the way over here on the other end of the continuum, you've got humanist sociology revisited, because remember, they take like they provide historical context for how each of these perspectives, how they emerged, when they emerged, and how they have evolved or changed over time. And within each of these, there is variation as well. And so this is another way that you could take information, right, from the article, in this particular case, Dale and Caleb's Embracing Social Activism, and you can take that information and you can organize it onto a piece of paper, so that way you're organizing your ideas and your thoughts before you create your video. And then I want to give you a third example. And again, you don't have to use any of these. This is just me sharing with you 3 different methods that you could use. So another one is to create a visual board. So this one, what I did is I took screenshots as I watched the documentary, and I jotted down some information from the film that I wanted to discuss when I created my Flipgrid video. And so these would allow me to, again, organize my ideas and then use this as a reference point when I was talking in my Flipgrid video. And so since I talked about humanist sociology, I have a few pieces of like essential elements of what it means to be a humanist sociologist. And then I have some information from the film that I wanted to apply it to. And this allowed me to kind of prepare myself before I created that video. So I think that's it. I think we have covered all three of these goals for the video. We discussed the purpose of the RAD Flipgrid posts. I showed you how to create your RAD video and responses. But again, you don't have to do responses this week. Responses are going to start next week. This week, you only have to create your original video post. And then I shared with you a few ideas for how you can organize your ideas before you create your video. So I look forward to watching all of your videos and seeing how you understood some of the information from Dale and Caleb's article and how you applied that to some of the things in the documentary, A Place at the Table.